My name is Laurens Wapenaar. I am product manager at FinDock, and with me is Stefan van der Knaap, our VP of Product and Engineering. And together, we'd like to show you what we will bring to our partners and customers in the July 23 release. This release is already in all sandbox environments that have FinDock installed and will be automatically pushed to your production environment on Sunday night, July the 23rd. And if you'd like to track the progress of the release live, you can find it at status.findock.com. There are 4 main topics we'd like to discuss with you today. The first of which is a new payment method we've added for our Spanish customers called Bizum. We did a lot of improvements to our Giving Pages product. We'd also like to discuss several new implementation resources that we're adding and have already added. And finally, very important, are bugs and enhancements. So the smaller things we've built. But before we dive into that, first an update on the status of our pilot and betas. We've currently got 3 active pilots, which have moved to beta. 2 of which are our Norway direct debit and FIPS solutions. And we've added our new Bizum payment method to this. We hope probably during the holidays, we will not promote these to production or to general availability. Of course, they are already usable in production. And the fact that they're beta means that everybody can try them out. And then hopefully after the holidays, these will move to general availability, depending on the feedback that we get during the beta phase. So what does that mean? Going from pilot to beta for our 2 Nordics features. For Aftalig Giro, we've fixed several bugs with our system reported by our implementing customers, and the same for FIPS. These should be resolved right now. So we're confident this can be tried out by all our customers now, and hopefully that gives us the feedback to move this 1 step further. On to Bizum, and on to Stefan, who is going to talk a bit about Bizum and Giving Pages, and also demo these new things to you.
Thank you, Laurens. Thank you, everybody, for joining. So for people who don't know me, my name is Stefan. I work at FinDock and I'm responsible for product. And we are very happy that with this release, we added support for Bizum in Spain. Bizum is a local mobile app payment method for in Spain for Spanish customers, where you can use your mobile phone and have the Bizum app on your phone to do one-time payments, donations, or other form of transactions using your phone and the FinDock APIs. And this means that when you are a Spanish customer or you have business in Spain and you want to offer local payment methods, you can utilize this in your pay links, in our Giving Pages, or in your own on your own website. You can offer Bizum as a payment method to your customers, and then when your customers use Bizum to make a donation or a payment, in real time, we will update the data in your Salesforce environment and bring this end to end. The next part we want to give the next part of the release we want to highlight are updates around Giving Pages, and we have set out this year with the main theme to reduce the implementation effort required to implement FinDock. And we are trying to reduce that effort component by component. And in this release, you can already see parts of that. Laurens will explain more later about the different resources that we are building out. But specifically to Giving Pages in this release, we have focused on the question, how can we remove friction in the implementation phase? So if you want to use Giving Pages, how can we make that as easy as possible? And first of all, we spent a lot of that time in at R&D on quality of life improvements. So we removed lots of different smaller bugs or little enhancements that made life easier. Examples, as you can read here, they are all detailed in our release notes, are Custom fonts are now applied to pick list values. We added better validation around checkbox fields. We updated the UI around checkbox fields. We improved our handling of the state country pick list rendering in Salesforce. We made it easier to restore giving pages if you would change your web app user or connector. And we now also come with a default out-of-the-box minimum open amount, because that was already configurable, but we saw customers who did not configure that and then later would walk into, let's say, donations of 10 cents that would not be accepted by your payment service provider because the amount was too low. So we now put it by default on 50 cents. Secondly, we added two big features to giving pages to expand the scope, and those were the most commonly requested features. The first one is we now give you the ability to choose between 1 and 6 presets of the amounts that are proposed to your donors. So as you can see on the screenshot on the left, in the old situation, there were always 3 different amounts, presets those were called, that you had for that were offered out of the box to your customers. And now you can choose to configure it between 1 up until 6 different presets that are that you can offer out of the box to your donors. The second big feature that we added is you can now also offer out of the box the yearly frequency for recurring donations. So already with giving pages, there came the ability to offer the ability for one-time donations and for monthly donations. But we now also added the ability to take in yearly donations. As you can also see on this slide, and a bit below, it says, well, we still have appetite and we still are discovering to work on making your page look nicer. So those are enhancements focused on mainly on the responsiveness and of the page in general. So not only the payment form, but the page in general. And secondly, we feel that there are still improvement space in the builder experience with certain exceptions that are not handled well, or certain options that everybody needs to configure that are hidden too deep in our menus. And we hope in future releases to be able to come back to you with also improvements on those 2 areas. Now, before I give it back to Lawrence, let me also demo to you what this means in reality. So here I have a page open, and as you can see, this is the FinDock giving page editor, where we have a standard default out-of-the-box page created. I just hit publish, and I can now show it to you. On my third tab open, it's already there. Let me refresh it to make sure it's clean. Here it is. And before we dive into the new features, this is the situation that current customers had with our out-of-the-box situation, but there are some changes in the UI, slight changes in the UI to handle the new changes. So as you can now see, in the current situation in production, we would have a grid here of 3 different presets and the option to have any other amount. Now you can see we made it as, in a single row. We give you the options for 3 presets out of the box, and the any amount field, you can simply click on it and type in the amount. And as I already alluded to, when you would put in an amount that's too low, it will automatically say, please enter a donation amount above, in this case, 50 cents. But obviously this is configurable to your liking, to your minimum donation amount. But there are some changes in the way this is rendered now, compared to the old situation. So if you, with the July production release, you will get automatically a single row with the 3 different presets, and then an input field below for the any amount offerings. Now, it will still work as designed, right? So you can click on next, will go to the page for the personal details, and you can add your own custom fields to this as well, similar to what's already there. And then you can select your payment method. Also, this page you can extend with your own personal fields. And here you can also see the new payment method that we added, Bizum, that you can use in our API, in our pay links, and also in our giving pages. Now, for this example, I will finish this with a credit card donation. I will click donate, we will go, in this case, to a Stripe page. We will pay using our card, which will be a test payment, so it won't be really incurred. Stripe will authorize, check it, capture, and we will be thanked for our donation. And in the backend, in real time, all the data in Salesforce is being processed, and all the transactions are being created, put to collected, payments created, etc. Now, to show you some of the new functionality, let's go back to the builder and add the yearly frequency option. So we can go to the builder, to the amount and frequency page, and we can see here there's the one-time option, there's the monthly option, and now we also enable the yearly option. And out of the box, it comes with 4 different presets, but you can now choose between 1 and 6 different presets. So for example, in this example, we would say, I want 4 presets. I don't want any open amount for the yearly option. We hit save. Settings are saved. We publish. And we go to the page. And now you can see on my giving page, there is next to the one-time and the monthly amount, there's also now the option for yearly, giving you 4 different presets that obviously you can configure with your own values and your own liking. Now, let's also show you the special case where there is a single preset. So when we would go to our builder and we would say, well, on the monthly option, in our case, we don't want multiple presets. No, we only want 1 preset of €5. And people know what it's for, so we don't need the impact narrative, no open amounts. And then when I hit save, we publish the page. We go to the page. You will see that when I click on the monthly, you would simply, as a donor, see the single option that you want them to choose, and it's already chosen. You can't disclick it. You cannot deselect it because it's already selected for you. And when you hit next, you can add your donor information, and similar to the example, you can finish the whole donation flow. And before I give it back to Lawrence, I want to mention that all of this functionality that you were seeing, the one-time, the yearly, and the different presets, obviously is query parameter enabled, which means that you can use your query parameters to preset and to preload personalized pages that come up on the fly, where you can say, well, based on the link and based on the settings that you include in the link, certain donors, they would see maybe up to 6 presets with very high numbers, and other donors with very low numbers based on their donation history, for example. That's what we'd like to show you. If you want more details on any of these updates and changes we made, then obviously you can find those in our release notes. And with that, it's back to you, Lawrence.
Thanks, Stefan, for this thorough introduction of our new giving page features and this demo. If you have any questions about what Stefan just showed you, please don't hesitate to put your questions in the Q&A or in the chat, and we'll answer them at the end of this webinar. Our next topic is all the new implementation resources we are adding or have added. So we're on a big quest to make FinDock easier to implement. One of the things we are doing is, of course, adding the product improvements that Stefan is doing, so that it's easier to use our out-of-the-box features instead of having to go custom. But we're also working hard on increasing the amount of guidance in our product itself, so you don't have to know too much about our system to get it up and running. Also, we're adding additional guidance outside of the app, and we're building out more and more tools and examples next to our guidance in and outside of the app that you can use to kickstart your project or get ideas about what you can do with FinDock. One of these resources that are new, of course, we already have our knowledge base with a lot of detail about how FinDock works, but we've recently started piloting our new FinDock Academy, this is a new learning portal, which has self-paced lessons and quizzes. So this is next to our instructor-led training of 2 days that we regularly do with Peter. But this is online, and we're looking for consultants, especially consultants who are less familiar with FinDoc, to basically join the academy, do a few courses, and give us feedback on the content. So we can build it out with the right content that's still missing from the academy. You can join the pilot by contacting us at support@findoc.com. Now, one very big new thing we're building is a new setup experience, which is our main initiative when it comes to helping you configure FinDoc from inside the app. For this, we are looking for consultants to help us build this out by sending us your feedback on the current setup, but also joining usability tests for the new setup we're building. By that, we mean we will give you an early version of our new setup, ask you to perform some actions, and then we see whether what we've built actually helps you configure FinDoc properly. You can join this pilot and these tests by emailing me directly at laurens@findoc.com, or again, by mailing us at support@findoc.com. And finally, we have created FinDoc Labs. And FinDoc Labs is a way for us to, similar to Salesforce Labs, to both share open source packages ourselves, but also a place where we invite you to add your FinDoc related packages. And by that we mean examples of files or code examples, for instance, on how to integrate FinDoc with Salesforce Experience Cloud. There are flows there that can be used as implementation starters, like how to create a new recurring donation through Scheme Flow. And all of this is open source, not part of direct product support, but it's open source and can be used by everyone. And we definitely welcome your contributions to both the existing projects and feedback on the existing projects. But we also invite you to add your own project. And if you contact us, you have a great flow you would like to share with the broader community around FinDoc, contact us and we'll get it up and running for you on FinDoc Labs. Now on to the final part, which are our bugs and enhancements. Every release, we do lots of smaller things that we can't go into detail, of course, in this webinar. Simply, that will make the webinar too long. But a few things one thing at least I'd like to highlight is that we've added support for an optional initial payment for recurrent payments with Stripe. Currently, if you would make a recurrent payment with Stripe, it would not immediately charge, for instance, a credit card, since that's an optional feature for Stripe. But we've added the ability for you to choose whether you want to immediately charge a card or that you want to start the recurring at a later date and not charge the card at the same moment. All of these bugs and enhancements, and it's quite a list, you can find on our release notes. That can be found on our documentation site, and you can find it in the left-hand menu under release notes. That's it for us. We'll stick around for your questions, but if you have somewhere to go, this is the end of the webinar. Thank you for joining. I don't see any questions this time. If you think of something later, after you've, for instance, read the release note or tried some stuff out, don't hesitate to contact us. Our emails are on the slides. or you can, of course, always contact our CSG department at support@findock.com. Thank you and have a nice weekend.